Let's get into some suburbs of Hobart. I'm going to start at the lower end, and that is under $650,000. And the suburb I'm going to mention is a suburb called Lutana. So for people that don't know Lutana, it is mostly a residential and part industrial suburb of Hobart. It's in sort of the northern suburbs of Hobart there. It does front the Derwent, and it looks similar to obviously the photo here. So a lot of, just original old sort of cottages, some brick, veneer and tile homes, some weatherboard, and various other, should I say, homes. But most are on about 500 metres squared or so of land. 650 under 600 to 650,000 is still achievable in Lutana. This is where it is in terms of Hobart. So you can see the Hobart CBD just to the bottom of the image there. Lutana is in the dotted line, should I say, highlighted sort of to the top there. So it's probably about 10-15 minutes, depending on the traffic on a day away from Hobart CBD. It's extremely well located. You can see that it's very close to everything. It's close to Moona, which is kind of like a northern distributing / employment centre of the north of Hobart. And also not only that too, but it's also, I'd say, one of your suburbs that front the Derwent and has a lot of properties with water and river view, should I say. So that's just something to be aware of. It is quite well located and priced. I mean, if you picks up something, in the 600s, the low to mid 600s here, you could probably expect somewhere between 500 to 550 a week rent. So generally a suburb you can get 4.5% or so, or sometimes above in terms of yield. So it's very good for that. Long-term capital growth is quite good as well. Just something to be aware of. If you look up reviews of the suburb, you will see mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people don't. The main thing that people don't like in Lutana is mainly there is a zinc factory that is almost on the point of the waterfront there. So it is well known. It's been there for a number of years, and there is a bit of pollution in some of the houses that are very close to it. So just be aware of that. Not all the suburb is probably badly affected by it, but some houses are, particularly close to that zinc factory. But for an investment and also even for an owner-occ longer term, it's going to perform very well. And if you're in the right part of the suburb, I wouldn't worry too much. It'd be the same as almost any other suburb that's fairly close by to it with that zinc factory. So, that's really Lutana. That's my first pick, under 650K. That's really good. That barely exists anywhere in the country, and it doesn't exist in a good location that has, 4.5% yield or so and above. So that's my first pick. It is Lutana in Hobart. Look, my second one I want to get into is very close by. It is under 700K, and the suburb I'll mention is Moona. So Moona is right next to Lutana. It looks like this. It's kind of just on, should I say, the Mount Wellington side of Hobart. Not Hobart, sorry, of Lutana. So it's just on the inside there. You can see kind of all the parks, the greenery there, and you can see just to the left sort of some trading centres and the town centres there too. So look, the thing about Moona really is it is actually an employment hub in Hobart as well. And it does have quite a strong resident population that live here too. When I say under 700K, it's probably closer to 650 to 680K at the moment. It's much closer to that. And you're getting, quite comfortably, I'd say, probably mid 500s in terms of rental yield a week here. So again, something that's in sort of the mid fours in terms of rental yield is pretty achievable here. And again, that's a property that's probably on close to 500 metres squared, maybe a little bit more. So it's good for that. Just be aware there are some streets in here that you should probably avoid. I do have a friend that lives down here, and I do know a few people in the trade industry who do take care of, and there's not much, but the actual public housing, should I say, down in Victoria. And there's not much of it, but it's something just to be aware of because there is some of it down in some of the streets here. So if you don't know people that actually work on them, you will not know where these are. It's not like New South Wales or Victoria and some parts of Queensland where it's very obvious where it is. It's not the same in Tasmania. But what's going on here is there's been extremely strong gentrification in Moona over the years. And now, this gentrification won't look the same as somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne in terms of income, but it's all relative to the price it is. So you'll see here, just on the right, 2006 median weekly household income $696 a week, median monthly mortgage repayments $867 per week. Now you'll notice here now in 2021, so this is 4 years ago, mind you, median weekly household income $1421 per week, median monthly mortgage repayments $1,387. So right now, that ratio has improved substantially, and also the median weekly household income is already above the monthly mortgage repayment. So of the 30% rule, this ratio is like 24%. So people can easily, the resident population can easily afford their mortgage repayments here more than they have more money a week than their monthly mortgage repayments is. So they can easily afford to push it up, even the resident population. So that's very rare in a lot of areas of the country. So that's just something to consider. And it's a good thing because, I mean, a lot of people don't think about this, but this is also good for rental because rents can continue to go up if people can afford to push them up. And this is clearly the case in a lot of parts of Hobart as well. So Moona is good for a lot of things. And one of the things is very strong gentrification over the years and set to continue. Let's get into under 750k. And again, it's not very far away, but Hobart is a smaller city. There's probably only around 40 or 50 suburbs in Greater Hobart, should I say. And that suburb is Newtown. So Newtown is kind of on, should I say, the inner side of the city side of Moona. Newtown's kind of known, like its name, I'd say, as probably, a suburb of a township and, should I say, quite a resident community as well with a good walkability. As you can see here, this is what it looks like. That's just the overhead of Newtown, the main sort of street and trading centre in Newtown. There is industrial, facilities and, should I say, commercial shop fronts as well. There's quite a bit of that along the main street there. So that's the thing about Newtown. It's very well located. It's like, depending on where you are in the suburb, the traffic, 5 to 10 minute drive from Hobart CBD. And really, it's one of the most walkable suburbs in all of Hobart. So you see here, this is just a good overhead shot of Newtown. Look, there's a lot of the old cottages in Newtown here that look like this. They're very quaint. They're very beautiful. Some houses here even have views. Others are just very walkable to the town centre. Parts of Newtown have a walk score above 85, which almost sounds unheard of in somewhere like Hobart because it's such a small city. But this area is really good for that. And rental yield wise, you can probably get realistically $550 to $600 a week rent. And the capital growth is slightly higher. So, that's around the low 4% in terms of yield, which is quite good for something, that, is that close to the CBD. Like something that close to CBD in Sydney or Melbourne would probably be, circa, let's say, I don't know, $1.2 to $1.5 million plus. In Sydney, that would a suburb that close would be $2 to $2.5 million minimum, $3 if it's in the north or the east. So that's just something to consider. Under 750k, it's definitely Newtown, my pick, right next door. Let's get into under 850k. And again, I'm not very far away at all either, but the suburb I'm going to mention is North Hobart. So North Hobart, like its name says, is just north of the Hobart CBD. It again, similar to Newtown, I'd argue I actually went on holidays down to Hobart and Maria Island recently, only generally a month or two ago, just for a weekend. It was my mum's 60th birthday and I took her there for it. But anyway, we actually stayed in North Hobart, just literally right by the town centre in a nice house. And when we stayed there, we went, obviously being in real estate like I do, I went and have a look at a few properties, even whilst I was on holidays, and just walked through the main town centre. Not that I hadn't been here before, I've been here multiple times, but the amount of new restaurants that have come up there that are doing quite well, and not only that too, I wouldn't only say doing quite well, but also are have the actual difference of cuisine you have in terms of luxury, takeaway, ethnic cuisine there was incredible. I would honestly say that the main town centre of Hobart would have as good of restaurants in terms of both high-end, low-end, and probably even, I'd say, ethnic cuisine as anywhere in Sydney or Melbourne in North Hobart. No word of a lie. I could not believe how many. Now, I'd been to Hobart only a couple of months ago and more had even opened up since then. So, realistically, there's a lot going on here that people don't know about. It's one of the best suburbs in all of Hobart as well. Very well located. One of the best, should I say, long-term capital growth suburbs as well. And it's actually, when I say that, it's actually Hobart's historically top performer. So there are actually parts of North Hobart that have done circa 9 to 10% long-term capital growth. The general suburb has done in the 8s, but the Wright Street has done 9 to 10% growth here. Now, to buy something like that still at under 850k is unbelievable. It's not going to last for long. I mean, North Hobart, depending on where you are, is 1 to 2k's from the CBD, to give an idea. So it's literally, I mean, a bike ride from, or even a longish walk from the CBD, like depending on where you are in the suburb, probably 15 to 25-minute walk or so from the CBD. But this is literally the town centre. You can just see here all the stuff going on there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind at all that this will be one of the best suburbs long-term to buy in Hobart. The capital growth is incredible here. Look, you can see even Taj Palace. I know you can see Subway there. There's some better restaurants, a veg bar. Not that I hate vegan crap, but I don't eat any of that. I like meat. But anyway, there's plenty of, all different ethnic cuisine along there. I mean, and it's really, really changing a lot. It feels like somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne. It just has the quaint Hobart touch of it, the sort of old sandstone heritage buildings. And I mean, it feels very tranquil there as well. It's a very, very nice area to visit. So anyone who hasn't been there, I'd strongly suggest go to North Hobart. Really good suburb in that. Definitely one of my favourite places I've been to by far in the country. I really, really like it in North Hobart. It's such a nice area, good area to invest in. I mean, you can easily probably get for a 3-bedder, I mean, 600 to 650 a week rent. So it's around 4% in a very good capital growth suburb. So, I mean, that's something to behold. That's not going to last for very long. Once that starts breaking, that won't exist for very long. So let's just keep that in mind. I mean, North Hobart's a great buy. That's probably one of my top picks, especially for under $850,000 in Hobart. Let's get into any budget in Hobart. And it's not necessarily any budget. Look, to be honest, this property suburb can be picked up for probably around 1.3 to 1.5 million. And that suburb is Sandy Bay. Now, for people who don't know, Sandy Bay is probably most famous for its probably yacht club and waterfront precinct, and also the home of UTAS as well. It looks like this on the overhead. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful suburbs you'll see, probably even in Australia. It's such a beautiful suburb. I mean, it's really, I mean, in my opinion, probably the best suburb of Hobart. I'd argue probably that along with Battery Point, but the difference is Battery Point does have a lot of very small dwellings, and it is very expensive. Most homes in Battery Point are $2 million plus. Sandy Bay's still doable at like 1.3 million. I've even seen decent ones for under 1 million, believe it or not. And particularly in the part that's close to the CBD, because Sandy Bay is a good suburb. So I'm saying like the K to K and a half away from the CBD part of Sandy Bay. So the inner part, probably around where this UTAS and Yacht Club is into the CBD. That part of Sandy Bay specifically is my favourite area, Sandy Bay, to buy in. To give her an idea about Sandy Bay, really, I'd say it's Hobart's best suburb, and this is just an article from Domain. Hobart Sandy Bay Road is like living on Sydney Harbour without the price tag. Imagine watching the Sydney to Harbour yacht race roll in from your waterfront balcony. And I mean, that is a perfect way to describe Sandy Bay. It is the old money area of Hobart. It is like the Point Piper of Hobart, really. You'd probably argue maybe the Bellevue Hill, maybe Battery Point is the Point Piper. But, I mean, this area is pretty much the best place to live in all of Hobart. Right by the CBD, good schools, good employment nearby, wealthy neighbourhood, very safe. I mean, right by the waterfront, lots of parks, very good schools. I mean, you can't really argue this. It is literally the Bellevue Hill of Hobart. It's probably the Chirac of Hobart, or maybe the Peppermint Grove of Hobart, if for people in New Farm, for people from other states. I mean, or Medindi if you're from Adelaide. That's Sandy Bay. It's probably your best suburb of the whole, city, really. And I mean, for someone like, I mean, it's crazy because I was saying this to literally my partner, a girlfriend the other day, and she was saying like, why do people like live in, like Blacktown, Point Cook, all these other areas that I say people never buy, you're paying like 1 or 1.3 million-ish, or maybe Point Cook's 900,000, when you can literally go down to Hobart and buy in Sandy Bay, live right by the water, and with the best lifestyle you could probably get for the same price. And it's insanity, but that's what you can literally do with that kind of money down here. And this, again, similar to North Hobart, is an area that historically will do in the right street above 9% capital growth long term. And that is comparable with Sydney and Melbourne. So, again, Hobart doesn't have many suburbs that are worth buying in, but the suburbs that are worth buying in, like Sandy Bay with any budget, are incredible. So that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, just keep it in mind. What we have going on here is we have great opportunities elsewhere outside the very expensive capitals that no one knows about, and that's what you want to do. The best suburb to buy in all of, I'd say, Hobart by far is Sandy Bay.